We've got to think at some point our test strategies.
Yes.
Because in the inclusion group, it's 68, 73%, and 41%.
Mm-hmm.
But their writing, listen to their writing, is a 2.59.
And I actually, so my questions, like I have an 80 and then I had a 94 for the multiple choice, but the writing, and I confronted them today, I said, just because I wasn't there, I feel like you guys lowered your expectations and gave me one sentence when you know that's not how we respond.
Mm-hmm. I had one today that was making it up and he submitted it in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, like literally, if they were to write how they wrote today, like they're in their journals, I would have had hundreds because they got the multiple choice right, but they, look at all these zeros.
Yeah, I had a lot.
Yeah, it was not.
Which is why I'm glad we're getting a little off topic, but I'm glad today we started that assignment, that writing assignment, because we can return to that and upgrade it, and then they'll eventually have their own exemplar.
Okay.
1 second, I'm writing.
So third block, when I got to third block, questions, the weakest one that they had was question 3.
Yeah, I've seen that.
63%. It was 95, 84, 63, but then the writing, they're the strongest with writing right now at 2.89.
Okay. Let me see my second block, because I'm having to do some finagling. View assignment data, there we go.
Okay, here's a question. I'm thinking of rooms for when. Obviously, we want to focus on theme.
Yeah, but it seems like a majority of
Got
them
it right.
got it right. A majority.
That's the first question.
Yeah.
But do you really think we need a room for writing? We did that 2 weeks ago. Remember with the popsicle one?
Correct, and pardon me for interrupting, but for the writing for this one, because our learning target is that they can analyze it. So question 1 is just, can you identify? And then the writing is analyzing it. Can you analyze how a theme is developed in a poem?
And it just gave the lines. It said 6 through 7. So to take that, I think, and apply it, that was a hard step for them. They're used to seeing it the way that we have shown them.
But see, and like let me pull up one.
And it's still, that tag is getting them.
The tag is, yes.
The punctuation of it, or it's the capitalization, or how do I frame that? So almost going back. And then 2, thinking about how that question was worded.
Yes.
The struggle was there to reword what the question said.
Yep.
If it gave me those lines of evidence, how do I reword that?
Knox got the theme. He got it 100%, so he's answering the question. He just didn't do the steps. He's
right.
So I don't think it was we're struggling. I think it was we're lazy and we didn't. Like, if I were to say, because you should have seen their faces. I said, who rushed on this? I said, okay, just be honest, who rushed? And they majority raised their hand. I don't want to spend a whole class period of reteaching when I feel like, especially after today, seeing their writing, I feel like they know it. It was effort.
So just thinking about that, what do we do then if we feel like, okay, maybe it's the effort part, what strategy or tool do we give them to say, hey, I need to make sure I do this every time? So is it okay, so you're going into this, but when you get to that, because I know we all tell them, if you have a written response, make sure it's icy or this or that.
This is a little off topic.
But do we do a Post-it note or something?
No, she made those little things for the desks.
Make more of them?
Wait, what thing for tests?
Remember the desks?
The
reminders?
Yes, that's what, I think we need something like that.
I think we should just make our own, like, hey, any kind of written response needs to have this, this, and this. And then let's stick them to the desks.
Well, you made those little squares.
We could. What are you talking about?
Too bad we can't make us.
Could we just do a reprint and just tape them on the desks?
I feel like it almost needs to be smaller. Like, this is taking up a big.
Well, it's not like. I mean, what do they need to surface for?
Yeah, I think maybe even color coding it, because like when we were doing the hero writing today, where I used different Post-it notes with colors, I modeled that and I highlighted the colors in that writing. So if they could actually have a sample of good writing of how do I respond,
which
they can utilize it.
That's what I'm thinking we can almost address with the writing thing they started today, is we'll take it step by step. We slow down for a second, maybe next week. Slow down for a second, pull that down and say, okay, let's see what you're missing, let's see what you got. let's add it like transitions. That's when we can focus on transitions, focus on punctuation.
We need to do
What
transition.
if we stuck the rubric, laminated them, and
And they're in
glued,
their
and
journal.
stuck those to the desk, and then we can give them dry erase markers, and
And
when
they can
they're
check off.
writing, they
They're
check
gonna
it off as
on
they
the
go.
checklist.
Well, the problem with that is, when I first gave out those rubrics the first time we did this, they were checking things off, and then when I went and looked,
They're not
they don't
there.
match. They like, yeah, I totally got that. They
Or
definitely
we could do rubric, but then do a modeled ones with color codes.
don't. Okay. And to your point about it being too big, what do they need the writing desk surface for? They have their iPads. They're gonna have sheets of paper. They're gonna have their notebooks. All they
I
need
mean,
to
as
do-
long as we like tape them with clear tape, like
yeah,
you know
that's
what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm
Okay.
thinking. And
Yeah,
we
I
just,
guess
they'll just
that's
have to do
fine.
this.
Okay,
to
so
look at-
note to self, for the written response, we need to, as a group, we'll just decide how
Somehow
we're gonna
come up
assign it,
with-
come up with a visual. They need a visual on their desk.
Okay.
All right.
So let's do visual.
Brooks, will you update the agenda?
Yes.
Okay,
Keep time.
so then thinking about, so we don't know about that room yet, what that room's gonna look like.
No.
I need to pull the FIDO spreadsheet up too, or the list. Let's talk about questions. Do we wanna go back to, the other two, symbolism? Or do we want to do a room that gives them a little bit of strategies? Because they had their notes on alliteration, symbolism, and theme. They had the notes. But maybe it's the question type, and we talk about question types and how to attack them.
So we talked about, and building off that, we talked about at the beginning of the year annotating, but we practiced annotating articles, but not annotating questions. Do you want to do that?
No, when we did the win room, that was what I did.
You annotated questions?
Yes.
Okay.
We broke down like what is the prompt asking, what is the question
Right, but
asking.
that was a win thing, like that was a certain.
It was
if we did
everybody.
it at
So not
school.
everyone got it. So we need to do, they've got to annotate the questions.
Or, so we had talked about recently rotating our classes. What if you specialize in annotating questions, maybe you taught them some of the hatch strategies and stuff like that, and then I could do something. We come up with a third thing we could talk about, like really focus, maybe not next week, but soon.
Well, okay, so kind of jumping, looking at the rooms, I don't feel like this needs to be a reteach.
I
Okay, so
agree.
let's look at data first. Let's decide that. Do we want to do, the mastery here is 70%.
Yes.
So let's look at questions.
All of mine are 70% or above, except for the writing.
Okay, so my second block, the first.
Is that inclusion?
The third, and then in my third block, it's the third question, did not
What
hit the
percent?
70%. I have 68, 41, and 63.
So for me, for block 1, question 1 and 2 were good. For block 2, question 1, 2, and 3 were good. And block 3, question 1 and 2 were good. But for blocks 1 and 3, question 3 got them.
So I
Which
think we
one is your
definitely need to do
inclusion?
3.
Number 1, but number 3 is not. Block 3 is not inclusion. Not that. I feel like, you said question 3 was a trouble.
Question 3, I think question 3 is something we need to look at.
Question
Is
3
that the one
was-
with symbolism or alliteration?
That was alliteration.
It's alliteration.
That'll be straightforward though.
Yeah, I
So
don't
do
think
we,
that needs to
do
be
we
a whole lot.
spiral that in then as a warm-up?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why don't we do that? Okay, so we're gonna spiral alliteration.
Brooks, will you add that?
Yep.
Spiral alliteration into maybe warm-ups or something?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I'm just gonna put it.
Or
in
even
something.
like a after chapter
Yep,
activity.
okay. And so then, I'm trying to think. So we know that they've learned it if they're 70% or higher, and right now per question, we only have, for me, question 1 and 3 are iffies.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say, what if I was an enrichment room?
Okay. Which I think maybe in that enrichment room, we might wanna build off their writing. So take it to the next level, like transition words, things of those
Okay.
natures that we've not really specialized
Yeah.
in win time.
Okay.
Let's enrich them that way, like, okay, I've got a good solid written response, but what can I do to make it even
Right.
better?
Well, that